Hi students, welcome to the online classes of Pragathi the school. We are going to begin Poem 8, Mending Wall by Robert Frost. Let's know about Robert Frost. Robert Frost was an American poet. He was born in 1874. He died in 1963. He is well known for his realistic writings of rural life. He was honored during his lifetime with 4 Pulitzer Prizes. Some of his famous poems are The Road Not Taken, Mending Wall, Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening, or Witness Tree, etc. Let's go through the brief summary of the poem. A stone wall separates the speaker's property from his neighbors. In spring, the two meet to walk the wall and jointly make repairs. The speaker sees no reason for the wall to be kept. There are no cows to be contained, just apple and pine trees. He does not believe in walls for the sake of walls. The neighbor resorts to an old adage, good fences make good neighbors. The speaker remains unconvinced and mischievously presses the neighbor to look beyond the old-fashioned folly of such reasoning. His neighbor will not be swayed. The speaker envisions his neighbor as a holdover from a justifiably outmoded era, a living example of a dark age mentality, but the neighbor simply repeats the adage. I shall recite the poem and explain, students. Mending wall. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that sends the frozen ground swell under it, and spills the upper boulders in the sun, and makes gaps even two can pass abreast. The work of hunters is another thing. I have come after them and made repair, where they have left not one stone on a stone, but they would have the rabbit out of hiding, to please the yelping dogs. The gaps I mean, no one has seen them made or heard them made, but at spring, mending time, we find them there. I let my neighbor know beyond the hill, and on a day we meet to walk the line and set the wall between us once again. We keep the wall between us as we go to each the boulders that have fallen to each, and some are lows and some so nearly balls. We have to use a spell to make them balance. Stay where you are until our backs are turned. We wear our fingers rough with handling them. Now the explanation, students. Something here is the speaker. He doesn't need a wall. There are 2 reasons for the stones on the wall to get dislocated. In winter, the water underground turns into frozen ice and pushes the ground, dislocating the stones. Another reason is the hunters come in search of bunnies. They pull out the stones while searching. So every spring season, mending of wall takes place. The speaker and his neighbor walk along the wall and place the stones on the wall. The stones are so irregular in shape that they tend to fall down. The speaker humorously says that he should say some magical words to make the stones stay still. While repairing, their hands become rough due to wear and tear. I shall recite the remaining part of the poem and explain, students. Oh, just another kind of outdoor game, one on a side. It comes to little more. There where it is, we do not need the wall. He is all pine and I am apple orchard. My apple trees will never get across and eat the cones under his pines. I tell him. He only says, good friends make good neighbors. Spring is the mischief in me, and I wonder if I could put a notion in his head. Why do they make good neighbors? Isn't it where there are cows? But here there are no cows. Before I built a wall, I'd ask to know what I was walling in or walling out, and to whom I was like to give offense. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that wants it down. I could say elves to him, but it's not elves exactly, and I'd rather he said it for himself. I see him there, bringing a stone grasped firmly by the top in each hand, like an old stone savage arm. He moves in darkness as it seems to me, not of woods only and the shade of trees. He will not go behind his father's saying, and he likes having thought of it so well. He says again, good fences make good neighbors. Now the explanation, students. The speaker feels it is an outdoor game. He tries his best to convince the neighbor that there is no need of a wall by saying that he has apple trees and the neighbor has pine cones. His apple trees would not go into the neighbor's property and eat his pine cones, and vice versa. There were no cows and sheep too to enter into each other's property. But the neighbor's stock reply was, good fences make good neighbors. The speaker feels by building a wall, we are walling in distrust, distance, and unfriendliness. We are walling out friendliness, trust, and love. He wanted the neighbor to come out of his narrow-mindedness and understand the actual facts. He even calls him a savage, but the neighbor is stern in his thoughts. Despite the speaker's effort to convince his neighbor, it was a failure. It was all in vain. The mending of the wall continued. Thank you, students.